Today on the Diz List, we count down our top 5 favorite attractions at Hollywood Studios 2024 edition.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 85, where we count down our top 5 favorite attractions at Hollywood Studios 2024 edition.
So, in preparation for this, I decided to pull up the map. And, let's just say I'm not shocked by one of the things.
Is it really busy?
Oh, so it's very busy. It's a 140-minute wait currently for Tower of Terror.
Does this count as February break? Well, I guess it does. This time of year is pretty busy normally.
140 minutes wait for Slinky Dog. And you wouldn't even believe it. I don't think you can even get on Star Wars today, Rise of the Resistance, because guess what? It's down.
It's closed.
Womp. Like, fix your rides, Disney.
So it's difficult to maintain that number of animatronics, I'm assuming. Like,
in
reality.
The one?
It's the one where he gets sucked into space.
Yeah.
Because he went down right in front of you when you rode the ride.
Yeah. I've had it a couple times. No, it looks really busy. Like a 75-minute wait for Smuggler's Run. What they're suffering from right now is that there's not enough open. You know what I mean? So you have Rock and Roller Coasters down.
Right, for refurbishment, quote unquote, right?
Yep. And then you've got Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is
usually,
it's not, the park just opened. But
it's hard to count on it. But.
Right, so that's not open.
Well, the other thing, too, if I'm, kind of playing devil's advocate here, even though it's down, it's still a people eater because everyone's in line.
It says temporarily closed. When it does that, they usually go through and
give everybody a lightning lane and say, take a hike.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they close it. So, yeah. You had something you wanted to share with everybody?
Yeah. So.
Because it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Right. I love watching Jimmy Kimmel. Do you ever watch Jimmy Kimmel at all?
Occasionally. He's okay.
I think he's hilarious. So I won't actually stay up and watch Jimmy Kimmel. I'm the guy who watches it the next day on YouTube because I can't stay up that late because we have to teach him, and we have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning
because we're old.
So I can't stay up that late. So anyways, I'll watch it the next day, and we were watching this video, and Guillermo, if you don't know who Guillermo is,
I do, yeah.
He's kind of like the sidekick of Jimmy Kimmel. He's his actual security guard that he kind of promoted to his sidekick on the show. But he really did start off as his security guard.
Right.
He's really funny.
He is. He's hilarious.
So Jimmy will send Guillermo to different events to interview people. Mm-hmm. Jimmy doesn't go. He just sends Guillermo, which is really funny. And the tradition the last couple of years is that Guillermo would go to the Super Bowl press week and ask everybody questions. Don't worry, folks. This is Disney related.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get worried that these guys talk about football a lot. No, this is related to Disney. Trust me. We're not going off on too much of a tangent. So Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback for the Chiefs, is being interviewed, and Guillermo comes up to him and asks him a question, and this question just so happened to be related to Disney. So I took this video and I sent it over to Nick, and here is the audio from what Guillermo said to Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, Patrick, it's me, Guillermo. How you doing? Good. Hey, listen, you don't get tired of going to Disneyland every year? How much turkey leg can you eat?
Every time you go to Disney, you got your turkey leg. Now the kids are getting older, too, so they want to enjoy it, so I'm doing it for the kids.
So I sent this to Nick, and we both texted each other the same thing at the same time.
Yeah. Show opening.
Yep, that's the opening for the show. So if you listen on a regular basis, we have kind of we like to talk about the turkey leg.
Yeah.
And how incredibly salty it is. And
it's awful. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I don't get people who like it. I question their ability to have any taste buds left because it is so salty. Yeah. It's like licking a salt block for a horse. Not that I know what that would be like, but how they have salt blocks for horses.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. And every time I hear his voice, man, I just want to be like, oh, just shut up, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah.
Hi, ho, this is Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
But
you think he sounds like someone else?
Yeah, Kenny Powers. Yeah,
from Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, Eastbound and Down.
The most foul-mouthed sports character of all time.
Yeah. If you love turkey legs, great. If you don't love turkey legs, head over to magicmerch.art because I've got a nice shirt up there for you that has all the snacks except for the turkey leg is crossed out in red.
Do you remember how much it was? Like, is it mega expensive or is it affordable?
It's $14, I think.
Oh, that's actually not bad.
No, it's probably like 3 pounds of meat.
Right. So
I don't
for
know how
$14, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know how you could eat that and not get like just so bloated by the end of the day. I mean, it is so salty.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's brined it's got to be brined for like days and days. It is so salty. It's ham. It's practically cured. Look, if you like it, good on you, but I don't know how you taste anything because it's so salty.
Let's bring this around full circle.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hollywood Studios and the Muppets, who is the quarterback for the Chiefs, apparently. Yeah. He did answer a question about asking his best. Did you hear this? Can you give me your best impression? They asked Patrick Mahomes this. Okay. Can you give me your best impression of Kermit the Frog? Did you hear this?
No, they asked him that?
Yeah.
What is your best Kermit the Frog impression? I'm talking right now. That's it.
What do you think? You think Kermit the Frog a little bit, or that interview? If you see him, and I realize this is an audio medium, he looks like upset. Like he's got to hold it together and not just snap back at this guy at like the Super Bowl press day. But I think that made him mad.
Well, you think he's probably been made fun of for it. Right?
Oh, definitely. It's not the first time I've heard that.
Right. I can't believe an actual journalist asked him that.
Yeah.
Although it's Super Bowl press week, so some of those.
Well, and Guillermo's asking all joke questions too.
Yeah. So we were talking before we actually went on. And
right. This is my point I was trying to get to originally was Muppets area and Star Wars.
We were talking before we came on. So don't worry, this all ties in.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
So much football talk.
Yeah.
It's related.
Yeah. So as it turns out, when I was looking at the map, I said, I think that in this next round of updates, whatever they do to Hollywood Studios, I really think that there's a potential we lose Grand Avenue and the Muppets.
Right. So that's that whole area with Muppets 3D, Pizza Rizzo. There's not a ton back there.
There's Backlot Express, which is one of my favorites. Is right there on the corner.
Oh, right. That's the place you like to go and get the pretzel,
charcuterie, some drinks. They have one of the only free refills on property. So
I would hate to lose that Muppets attraction. I wish they could just move it. Like, I don't know if that's oh wait, they have. Oh my gosh. So I don't know what I was watching, but I remember watching something where it was at Hollywood Studios. I think it was back when it was MGM, and they actually took a building and moved an entire building. You ever see video footage of that? It's pretty wild.
I don't know that they would need to move an entire building because Muppet Vision is just it's not a lot of stuff they'd have to do to put that in a different spot.
Yeah, I mean, they have a couple animatronics. I think there's Statler and Waldorf, and I think the Rabbit, and I'm trying to remember what else.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, because people are probably like, well, what do you mean we're gonna lose it? The only thing standing between Galaxy's Edge and Star Tours is Grand Avenue.
Right.
Like, so it almost makes sense to make that continuous. Now, like I said, I fear that we would lose. They would never lose Backlot because Backlot is always doing well. It's always busy. It's a great spot. But if they transitioned slowly into Star Wars instead of like you go through a tunnel and boom, here you are, they could easily or they could even separate it and have more Star Wars-esque stuff, a la Harry Potter over in Universal.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest criticisms, and I'm one of these people, is that it wasn't similar to Harry Potter in the way that we don't have recognizable things from Star Wars, where Harry Potter will do very specific places that you can go and visit. That's like going inside of the movie, where the Imagineers took a route that I would not have chosen, and that is to make up your own story. And Batuu is this imaginary place that doesn't exist in the Star Wars universe. I would not have gone that way. That wouldn't have been my choice. My choice was to kind of combine some... I mean, you can combine or just do a singular. You do a singular place from Star Wars that you go and visit, one of the famous ones. Or honestly, I think the best idea is to kind of make a world that, flows from one environment to another. Throw that in there. I mean, I don't even...
Look, I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, we talked about it at length on the last week's Patreon. But, you know what they could do? They could do Coruscant. Yeah. So now you do modern buildings because Coruscant's all that modern-y. You could easily do that in a different park.
Well, they do Jedi training there. Maybe they could bring back Jedi training on Coruscant.
Yeah. I mean,
that was like that interactive thing with kids they would do for a while.
And you could have a building that's the Galactic Republic Senate. You know how they
Oh yeah.
You know how when they speak they float out into the middle.
Yeah.
You could easily make that part of a ride, like part of almost like a Star Tours-esque ride.
Do you know E.T. is actually in that scene?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
It's wild.
Yeah. I think that in the end, what we're gonna see is some updates that. The updates aren't going to make everybody happy because in order to update stuff, they're going to probably tear down stuff that we like.
Yeah.
I don't always agree with what this person says on social media, but Braden, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So
Mickey Views.
Yeah, Mickey Views. He posted Braden posted on Twitter that, when Iger says they're going to be annually adding capacity to parks, he raised a good point. He said bringing Tiana's back isn't adding capacity. No. It's returning capacity that you took away.
Right.
And refreshing all these rides that are broken because you have neglected annual maintenance for the sake of saving money is not adding capacity. Rather, what you're doing is you're basically just returning capacity back.
Right. This is kind of a math problem where you're in the negative right now. So this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So they're essentially just taking and looking at, okay, well, we took this away. Now we're going to tell you we're adding capacity into the park. But we're not. We're adding it back. So we've created this false, for instance, in Hollywood Studios today, the reason it's so packed on all these lines right now and why they're all so long is because you don't have Rise of the Resistance up and Rock and Roller Coasters down. Mm-hmm. So you take those two rides, they're both not active in a park that already doesn't have a lot of rides. Everything else goes way up. Right now, I don't know if it's true, but a lot of people say that the reason Rock and Roller Coaster is down again is because when they went and they fixed it, quote unquote, fixed it last time, they put in these other things, these parts that were subpar.
Oh boy!
And that the reason it was going down all the time was because the parts were overheating, trying to slow the thing down coming into the station.
Jeez.
And not that they were ever being unsafe. That's not at all what I'm saying.
No, and that's why they're closed now, because they know it isn't.
Right. That they needed to replace these parts because they tried to save money. And it's like, stop. I understand you're trying to save money, but I don't know. Maybe dial back some of the other stuff then. Like, there's other ways to save money than to risk possibly having rides go down and having the guest experience be pretty poor because people are going home and telling others. I mean, my friend who went down there recently, when he was in Animal Kingdom, was like, it was so unbearably packed because there's nothing to do, right? If you don't want to walk through the lines, there's nothing to do. And if you don't want to, or not lines, if you don't want to walk through the trails, there's not really anything to do there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. And they have to fix this. It's just,
and it's not a quick fix either.
Right.
All the decisions have to be made, permits need to be filed. Even if they were to decide today, we're going to add whatever, okay, attraction X to Hollywood Studios, right? Mm-hmm. All of the things that need to be done in order for that to happen is going to take years. So that has to be done yesterday.
I stand firm in my belief that they need to take one of the two water parks and turn it into a theme park. Mm-hmm. I stand firm in that.
Yeah.
Because the infrastructure is there. The plumbing is there. The kitchens are there. You can bulldoze the water park.
Look, you don't have to. You don't have to.
I know that you think they could do a combo park.
Yeah, we add to it. Like Six Flags.
There's a reason that Six Flags lines aren't long.
But it could be done the right way.
There's no way to a water park mixed with a regular park just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it doesn't. We can agree to disagree on this.
Sure.
I hate those ideas. Like, if I go to like our area park, Darien Lake,
Yeah.
it's one thing if I'm going there to go to the water park,
I don't.
or if I'm going there to go to the theme park.
Right. I usually just do one or the other. I usually don't do both.
Weird. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it can work though. It's already there. Like, it's just add on to it.
So you okay? I want you to picture this.
Yeah.
You go and you sit down on Big Thunder Mountain, and it's your first ride of the day. It's like 10:30. You sit down into a puddle from some dude who just got out of the freaking wave pool.
Yeah, I mean, and you're also in Orlando though, so you're gonna wake up or you're gonna stand up and
That's a
you'll be
little
dry.
different than sitting in a puddle of some dude's like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of that. I think they could definitely use one of those water parks. I can't remember which one it is. One of them is the same size as DCA. It's like 5 acres smaller than DCA.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I've been to both, but I can't think of one being bigger. Probably Typhoon Lagoon.
I can't remember which one it is. One of them is like 5 acres less than DCA. 5 acres in the grand scheme of things in a park like that, it's not that much. And I guarantee you that they own more than 5 acres worth of land that is attached to it or adjacent to it to make it the same size as DCA.
Well, regardless, we've talked about this before. You brought up the fact that if you're putting in a new like restaurant or kitchen, there's already all the plumbing and everything is already up to code. You can just make it retheme into a new restaurant.
Right.
All the bathrooms are already there. Like
Right.
those things. Okay, let's say hypothetically we do bulldoze a good chunk of it. Maybe the lazy river becomes some other like floating boat thing. Things can be repurposed.
Yeah. How many attractions at Disney revolve around things being in like
water. Yeah.
A lot.
Many, yeah.
So they could easily repurpose some of that stuff. If they want to make it where there's water-themed stuff, because they have a lot of water-themed movies, right? Moana now lives there, let's say.
Yeah.
They could do that.
Take the wave pool in the middle of Typhoon Lagoon, okay, right? In the center. Maybe you close that off and it's not like a wave pool that people go in. Maybe it's just like this.
What if they do shows in it?
Yeah, that's true too.
What if they do a show?
Yeah, because Universal Studios, I'm sure you know this, they used to do that giant boat show in the middle of their
they need
water.
They would need more water for
Yeah.
that, but yeah. Regardless, the point remains, and I know this has been one heck of an opening. We're all over the place, and that's
Whatever.
okay.
No, it is what it is.
Hollywood Studios and fixing 2 rides there is not going to solve their problem. I don't often agree with Mickey views because a lot of it's clickbaity, like uber critical of everything.
Yes.
However, this is not incorrect to say that you're not actually adding capacity, Bob Iger. You're actually returning the stuff that you took away from us in the first place.
Right. You're bringing us back to zero.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
We're currently negative. You're bringing us back to zero. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're returning us to a point of homeostasis, if you
Right.
will.
So if we want to be on the plus side, not only do we have to fix everything that's currently not working to bring us to zero, then you have to add more beyond that.
Yeah, and they keep adding hotel rooms. So that's the other thing. Don't complain
Bringing
about
in more people.
Don't complain about capacity issues when you're building more hotel rooms. Like, people aren't choosing to stay. Like, oh, let me go and stay at the New Polynesian, but I'm going to vacation at Universal. No, you're adding those hotel rooms so they go to your parks.
I'll end with this. Seeing how fast Epic Universe has kind of been created, built, constructed.
During a
all the
pandemic,
above.
mind you.
Right. Even though we're hypercritical of Epcot and that whole central area that just took, how many years? 4 years?
Almost the same amount of time as,
Right.
Yes.
Just that little central area. Or really anything. The fact that an entire park can grow from essentially nothing in that amount of time is good news because it means it's possible. And we can look at what Disney does, and if we're comparing A to B, you're looking at Disney going, man, that's slow. Because across town, Universal's going really fast.
I'm going to say this, though, and here's why I think it can go faster there. They're not dealing with daily guests, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, like, refurbing Epcot, and I know we're critical of it and how long it took.
But it's right in the middle of
It's
everything.
right in the middle of it, and you're not there. I mean, trust me, they were working still, but it wasn't the same pace. I'm sure they could work if they didn't have to also hide away from daily guests.
Right. And I'm not saying Disney's wrong or that Disney construction workers are bad. Okay, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we know it can be done.
Right. Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
We know it can be done quickly.
Yeah.
Because it has been done.
Right.
That's my point.
But I just wonder how much of it is because of the fact they don't have to compete with daily guests. So that's why building on the
also good point.
Building on the fringes might be the best way to go. Before we head off to the halftime show, I did want to remind you though, magicmerch.art, we do have a featured design. I'm going to say our featured design this week, because of the conversation with Patty Mahomes, is definitely the no turkey leg design over on magicmerch.art.
Do we have Usher performing the halftime show today?
Yeah, Usher's here.
I'm not anti-Usher. I don't think I would go out of my way to listen to Usher, but I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And so the one thing I will say is that the Super Bowl halftime show is probably not going to be as good as our halftime show, which is being brought to you by Lindsay. So thank you very much, Lindsay. And then head on over to magicmerch.art. Check out some of our designs, especially the no turkey leg.
See you after the break.
Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 rides at Hollywood Studios that, Rob and I, we were talking this week. We're like, we're updating all of our ride lists. And then I was like, looking back, and it turns out we actually never did individual ride lists for these parks because they have so few. We did rides outside of Magic Kingdom.
Right.
So we're not really updating them. We're giving you our first time rankings. This is rides and attractions. So, attractions were certainly on the table for this.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot. Like we talked about in the show opening, there's not a lot in Hollywood Studios, and that's why it gets so crowded. That's why it needs to be updated. I argue that Animal Kingdom needs to be updated too, but apparently they're fine with the way it is. That's the word on the street, is that they're skipping over Animal Kingdom and coming back to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm excited to hear how often we match up, because I think we're going to match up, but I also think we're going to argue a little bit on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and get started?
Yeah. So this was not an easy one to put together, and I moved them around a lot, and I'm not. This is my least favorite park. And that's a very unpopular opinion for some of our listeners. We have some listeners who cannot believe that it is anybody's least favorite park. I don't dislike it. I enjoy going there.
It's my least favorite too. So
I'll put it this way. If I were to book 3 days at Disney and 1 park per day, I would not be going to this one. I just wouldn't. I mean,
you're the only park that we're currently not planning to rope drop this year is this one.
Yeah.
Because, it's not, whatever.
Yeah.
And they've got some good stuff, but it's got my favorite, in park, my favorite lounge is, because I would call it a lounge, is by far Baseline Tap House. It's a great place to just sit.
Yeah.
The breeze actually blows there. It's not, super hot like everywhere else, but there's not a lot going on, and I feel like they do need to do some stuff to fix it. And I love Star Wars. And that's the crazy part, but...
California Adventure is, if this is that's the good version of this park in my mind.
Well, do you think that if they actually buy back the Marvel rights, that maybe that's what this will turn into?
I hope so.
We'll get an Avengers campus. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, until then, we have to deal with the rides we have.
Mm-hmm.
So, your number 5?
My number 5 is actually one of the newer ones.
Okay.
And I actually, if I'm being honest, I prefer the previous version of this ride, and that was the Great Movie Ride, and now it is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So that is my number 5.
That's your number 5.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. I enjoy it. But I think the Great Movie Ride, for me, was kind of cool, a little bit more interesting. It was interactive. I remember, in the middle of the ride would stop, and you had a cast member on your car, and the cast member would, interact with the actual ride. Do you know any of this?
No.
You ever seen a ride through of it?
No.
So I think one of them was...
Remember, I'm a noob.
So you would have a cast member on the front of your car, and the cast member I'm pretty sure it was like a gangster movie, and your cast member would get off your car and like leave, and then your car would keep going. And I'm trying to remember it because it was a while ago that we actually went on it, but not so long ago that we actually did that ride with our kids. So our kids have kind of a distant memory of it. I remember Alien. See, I'm talking about the wrong thing now.
Yeah.
I should be talking about Mickey and Minnie, and I don't have a problem with it. It's fun. I like the cue at the beginning where you're watching the movie and you walk through the movie. Love all that. Love the train, how the train breaks off. All that is great. The projections are great. It's kind of fun. For me, it's my number 5. Now you're looking at me, and I know that look.
No.
That look is. I'm waiting for you to share. I don't have a ton to share other than it's a cool ride. It's 5. It's not any higher for me.
Do you think that the reason it's at 5 for you and not higher is because you liked movie ride better? Great movie ride better?
Probably, but I'm not. But I'm also not the guy who will get angry when there's change.
Yeah, I know you're not. But
it's the same way with Country Bears.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
It's different. It's cool. I can remember back and say, hey, great movie ride was awesome. That was really cool. It really fit here. Everything was great. When we went to Disneyland, they had just opened it up like a couple weeks ago, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And we wanted to ride it, and apparently the queue is amazing. But the reason we didn't is because we wanted to hit everything we could that wasn't stuff that we had already done. We wanted to try to do the things that were different at Disneyland. So my point being, I don't dislike it, and I didn't want to, avoid riding it, but it's, it's still number 5. I've done it twice. I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 5 is something that I do like a lot, and I also, like you, reordered these a few times, and I'm questioning myself as to whether or not this should be higher, but I think the reason it's not higher for me is because of a sister ride to this ride in another park. So my number 5 is Toy Story Mania.
Okay.
Which I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I think that it doesn't go higher than 5 for me is because Space Ranger Spin is the superior of the two. And like Space Ranger Spin's not like top of the list. You know what I mean? So, but I get it. It's a different park. But I like this one. I will say that the pulling of that string can get, like, the end, my forearms feel like I've just been through a workout. It's fun. It's fun with kids. I do think that it's more fun for kids than Space Ranger Spin, because with Space Ranger Spin, you can't see, like, you have to like see where your red dot is or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you grew up playing video games like you and I did, like playing Duck Hunt and stuff like that, you kind of know what you're doing.
Yep.
If you didn't grow up with that kind of a game, it can be a bit much. So I think the laid back nature of the Midway Mania type thing plays more to the kids. I like this ride. I never experienced it before before the entrance moved.
Mm-hmm.
I never experienced it then, but
do you know where the entrance was?
Yeah, I do. But like, because I've only been there since Toy Story Land was there.
Yeah.
Right. I just like it. I like that it's right there when you walk into Toy Story Land. I think it's a good attraction to do and check off earlier in the day. It's also in the middle of the day, if the line gets low enough, I think it's a good one to do because you can cool off. It does tend to get a little bit lengthy because really inside of Toy Story Land, if you're not, like, I love Alien Swirling Saucers. It's not on my list, but I think it's a great ride.
It's fun, yeah.
But like
short.
Yeah, but like you're not, there's really only the 2 attractions. And so therefore the line gets long. We'll just say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my number 5 is Midway Mania, or Toy Story Mania is the official name.
So when you're riding this ride, there's a little like pull chain for you to launch your rings or whatever. That's what Nick was talking about before.
Rings, darts, whatever the game.
I always wondered if you have a person who is like a crazy heavy metal guitar player or drummer that plays really, really fast with their hands like that. Now I'm kind of like drumming really fast with my hands. I wonder if you got a guy like, Paul Bostaph who plays drums for Slayer.
Yeah.
Like
Neil Peart.
Well, I don't even know if he can play that. Well, I'm sure he can, but he's unfortunately deceased. But
yeah, it'd be kind of hard to do that.
I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think of a super fast heavy metal band. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I picked Paul Bostaph, there's Dave Lombardo also plays drums for Slayer for our Slayer fans. But I wonder if you can play really fast, if those people can pull that chain so fast the entire time that you get the high score. Like, I'm just wondering.
Well, that game in particular, or that ride in particular, though, it's not always about the speed, because you have to like when you break the plates or whatever, the plates go away, they're gone.
Right.
So,
There's a limited number of plates.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, possibly.
I always
I don't
wondered
really
that.
want to play against that guy.
Right.
So I like to be the winner. I don't go easy on my kids when I play with them. It's like, no, you're gonna lose. It's okay.
My number 4 switched places a few times. Now, I'll say this. As much as I dislike the theme of this ride, the ride itself is awesome. And my number 4 is Rock and Roller Coaster. It's a great ride. It's a lot of fun. I love the launch. I like the idea that it's rock and roll. But if you're a regular listener to the show, you know I do not like Aerosmith. I am not a fan of Aerosmith at all.
Yeah.
I've seen them in concert, was not a fan. They co-headlined with Kiss. I do like Kiss, but probably more people would ever. And anyway, moving on. It's a great ride. It's fun. It's super fast. It's exciting, especially being inside. And I don't have a ton to say other than people may be going, well, you don't like Aerosmith. Why is it even on your list? Because it's a great roller coaster, but it's only number 4. If it had, we've talked many times about how we could retheme it with the Muppets or have a rotating showcase of songs like they do over at the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster, where you'll have a Metallica song and then a Nirvana song or whatever. I think that would be cool, but for now, it's only number 4.
This was not on my list. It's an honorable mention.
But I don't blame you, though. Like, it not being on someone's list, not surprised.
This will probably not shock you. I've only ridden it once, and the reason I've only ridden it once isn't because I only wanted to ride it once. It's because it's only ever been open during one of my trips.
Yeah, because we didn't ride it together, I don't think.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah,
we did.
right, because your son
Yeah.
your son's in the picture for that. Yeah, that's
so,
right.
but it was, that was the only trip I've ever been on where it was open. Last year, Rock and Roller Coaster was down the entire time I was there.
Yeah.
Now, it had just reopened from a refurbishment and was down. That's how, there we go. It's down right now, so who knows if it'll be open this summer.
Wow.
My first time going, it was down the entire time I was there. Like, this is just not a reliable ride. That's why it's lower.
Knowing that
That's why it's on my
not even on
honorable
your
mention.
list, and what you just said is really giving me an idea of what the top of your list is not going to look like.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, you don't get to ride it that often.
No.
Rock and Roller Coaster. And I will also say that I just got an idea of another retheme that would be good.
Okay.
Green Day.
Oh, yeah.
They just released that new album. Which
The new album's great.
That's a really good
Oh,
album.
yeah, we were listening to it at work the other day.
So yeah. Anyway, how about number 4? We move over to Endor and go take a trip on Star Tours. So my number 4 is Star Tours. I love Star Tours. It's a great ride. It is the spoiler alert. It's the superior of the screen-based Star Wars rides, and it's number 4 on my list. And since I didn't name the other one, you know it's not on here. Starting to narrow down what's left.
Well,
but yeah, Star Tours is my jam. I love it. I know we have listeners because every time I mention Star Tours, we have listeners who comment either in the comments of the show or on Instagram or whatever. I can't get behind Star Tours because like I get motion sick, and I never got motion sick on that ride, but I can see where people would.
yeah.
So,
Well, I get motion sick playing games like Fortnite and
Really?
you don't, I do.
how close are you sitting to that TV?
I'm not. I sit, I don't know, in that gray chair that's, 10 feet away from the screen, but that makes me sick. Mario Kart doesn't, and like regular side-scrolling Super Mario doesn't. Madden doesn't. But anything that, like, I don't know, that moves around like your chair is moving, I get dizzy and I get a headache, and I'm like, I tell my son, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't get motion sick on this ride. Do you get motion sick on Star Tours?
Nope.
Okay.
The only ride I've ever had issues with was
Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah, and a little bit, and that was the first time.
Yeah.
The second 2 times, I think we were
more middle.
Yeah, more in the middle, and we were okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think that Star Tours is a great ride. It also reminds me, because we've talked about this, of a movie that I can watch. I can't watch something about Batuu because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but I also don't want to watch a movie about Batuu.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's watch a movie about where people are shopping and eating.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
I don't know. So, yeah, that's my number 4. That's my number 4 is Star Tours. What about...
Star Tours did not make my list, but I love the ride, and my family gets nervous when we go on Star Tours because I get obnoxious sometimes, and I'll, like, play along. Like you were with me on this ride, so like they always pick out one person as like the spy, and they put them up on the screen, and I like to like yell out when that person is like, "Oh my gosh, it's them!" And my family needs to tell me in advance, like, you got to chill out. Like, I know you want to have fun.
I mean,
but
yeah,
you got to close your mouth. In my mind, I just want to go.
He wants to play along.
I do. I want to play along.
So,
but it makes everybody else.
If everybody had Rob's mindset, there is no way that the Star Wars Experience Hotel, whatever, would have closed because everybody would want to be cosplaying nonstop. I feel like Rob just wants to cosplay the whole time he's at Disney.
I get onto Star Tours and I just play along, like 3PO, let's go! Like I jump right into it, and it's so funny. But I've been better.
Yeah,
I think when I wrote it,
it's funny for Rob.
I dialed it back.
You did.
I did.
You did. You
well, because I don't want to. I want to have. Okay, if there's nobody there, and it's just the 4 of us.
Yeah, it's different.
I would just be driving the 3 other people in my family crazy.
Right,
and I would have a great time.
Right. I mean, I don't know what that says about you, but yeah,
I like to play along.
Play along, sure. We'll call it that. All right. So, what's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is one that I think I've only ridden once or twice because we didn't get to ride it. Or no, I didn't get to ride it in one of our more recent trips, and you and I don't know if we purchased the individual lightning lane for this, but it's Slinky Dog.
There's not an individual lightning lane for it.
So the time before, we waited till the end of the day to ride the ride.
Oh, yeah, and you couldn't ride it.
Yeah, and they closed it the last hour. Like the park, I think, was open till 9, and we waited right till the end of the night. We said, all right, we're going to ride it, and then we'll take off.
Yeah.
And we walked over there like, oh, sorry, it's closed for whatever reason.
Yep.
And we didn't get to ride it. And
Which is usually a reliable ride. So, I mean, for that to have closed,
And that was our first chance to ride it. So that when we went with you that summer, we made sure we rode it early.
Yeah.
And we got a regular lightning lane for it because we got Genie Plus that day.
Yeah, we got a lightning lane, and then, I mean, we still had to wait a decent amount because if you recall that...
someone had a heart attack or something?
No, it was a heat-related thing. So, like, not heat stroke, but basically they're having a medical emergency induced by heat.
Right. We got right to the front of the line, too, remember?
Yeah, we were right there.
We weren't mad. I mean...
It is what it is.
Some people were really angry.
Yeah, it's like, how can you get mad? There's EMTs, like, working on somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
you got to look at, that could be a family member of yours.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, but...
Yeah. But so that's your number 3 is...
Yeah, Slinky Dog's fun. I like it for a lot of reasons. It's very well engineered. It's very smooth. It's a fun ride. Yeah. There's a double launch, which kind of extends the ride a little bit. The view is fantastic. I love looking around Toy Story Land. You really feel like you're kind of flying through like a kid's toy box, and it's a lot of fun. And what I had to do was I moved this and Rock and Roller Coaster around because Rock and Roller Coaster is intense, but Slinky Dog wins only because I like what I'm looking at. It's fun. I like the kind of the voiceover by maybe it's Jim Varney. I think Jim Varney originally played Slinky Dog, the guy who does Ernest from Ernest Goes to Camp. Because he did pass away, so I wonder if it's probably a new person who did the voice. If anybody knows, let us know. But I like the voiceover. I like the penguin singing at the end. That's a lot of fun. Overall, it's a great experience and a good ride for all ages. It's good for kids, and if you're an adult that's a thrill seeker, it's also really thrilling ride. I really enjoy that. I'm going to assume that this is on your list too, just because it's such a good ride, and I know you enjoy it because we rode it together. So That's number 3 for me. I'm assuming it's higher because of other factors and things that you were hinting at earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
number 3 for me
Uh-huh.
is Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
And
I see exactly how our lists are. So people listening, if you're keeping track, and I don't know how many people actually do and keep track and go, okay. So if number 3 right now is Slinky Dog for Rob, and number 3 right now is Rise of the Resistance for Nick, I'm curious how this is. No, I think people can probably figure it out at this point.
I would hope so. There's not that many Rise to pick from.
No.
So the reason Rise is not higher than 3. Now I'm going to tell you right now, on this list, the best, most amazing ride is Rise. I'm going to tell you that. It's number 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
But
the
as I said in the opening,
Yeah.
it is not open right now.
Yeah.
It is always going down. You don't know whether you're going to get the full experience every time. I also don't like that the cast members, when they do reopen it, in order to pack everybody in as quickly as possible to be a capacity thing,
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
they skip parts of the queue.
Now, that happened to you before.
Twice.
Yeah.
Skip part of the queue, skip part of the pre-shows. It's like, that's part of the experience here. Like, I don't want to just walk straight into that room.
The Stormtroopers.
The Stormtrooper room. I want to have the whole experience. But I have had multiple times where I've been ushered all the way through to the Stormtrooper room, and there's no real
And the other time you just
drama.
skipped Rey and BB-8. Is that right?
Correct. So I've had
Okay.
one time where I went all the way through,
Uh-huh.
and then one time where we just skipped like the initial one, and then we went into the part where you're, is it the transport pod or whatever
Yeah.
that you end up getting
Yep.
taken out of by the resistance, or not the resistance, by the by the
First
Empire.
Order.
First Order. There we go. So it's a great experience. The animatronics that work are great.
Mm-hmm.
The scale of when you go in and you see the AT-ATs, like
Mm-hmm.
the scale is amazing. But it doesn't work. Like I've seen it in B mode more than I've seen it in A mode.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the Yeti. You know what I mean? We're not talking about something like the Yeti.
Yeah,
We're talking about a human sized animatronic that's kind of waving around because he's getting sucked out a window, and you turn
a wall drops down.
a wall drops and you blow fan on his cape. Like, that's what you're talking about. It frustrates me. It really frustrates me, and that's why it's number 3. If it worked every time, it would be number 1 by a long shot. But I can't put it there. I just can't. So yeah, number 3 for me, Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance. I have a feeling we'll talk about it again.
I am going to guess, well, maybe not. Yeah. Depending on how this goes, either we're going to talk about the same one right now
We're not.
or not.
No.
Okay. Wow. All right. That was my only wild card, whether or not that happened. Okay. So I know what your number 1 is.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So my number 2 is Tower of Terror.
I like Tower of Terror. It's on my honorable mention.
Yeah.
It's not one that it's one if I have to miss it. It's not. I'm not terribly upset. That's why I
Okay.
didn't make my top 5.
Okay. Interesting. All right. This is fascinating. Not how I thought this would go at all. Okay, cool. Tower of Terror is fantastic. I am a Twilight Zone fan. The creator of the Twilight Zone has actually lived or kind of is from the next town over from where I grew up, Rod Serling.
And I went to college where he was a professor and was also so Ithaca College is a big Rod Serling kind of a history piece.
So Tower of Terror has a great theme. It's funny because I don't believe it's owned by Disney. I think it's owned by CBS. I think
so.
But a great idea for a themed ride, bringing a little bit of, horror or suspense or something a little bit of a different flavor to that park, which I really like. Obviously, I'm a fan of Haunted Mansion too, but I will say, as much as I like Tower of Terror, and it's a very, very fun ride, I do actually prefer the Guardians of the Galaxy version at California Adventure. And I'll tell you why. Because even though it's a similar experience, and you go in the elevator and it goes up and down, you do the drop, I prefer the funny versus the horror, believe it or not. I like it when they show the little videos or vignettes or whatever they call it of the different Guardians of the Galaxy members doing the funny things, and you drop, and then you see them doing something else, but they're funny because they're getting attacked by different aliens, and it's a really, really cool experience.
Well, and I don't know about you, but like those dropping rides like Tower of Terror, I laugh. I don't scream out of fear. I laugh.
Me too.
And so like
and that's why it fits.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
the comedy.
I know that it doesn't. I know that's not everybody. I totally get that. For some people,
Some people are horrifying.
Yeah.
To me, I just laugh. I'm just like, this is so funny.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm 2 inches off the ground right now, and then
I will see if I can.
Find the photo.
Because it's so because Rob gave me permission to post the rather unflattering picture of him from Frozen last week.
Yep.
I will see if I can find the photo because Rob's laughing because this might be the worst ride photo I have ever taken in my life.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
your face is basically and then expletive.
Yeah.
You fill in whatever expletive is.
Because it was it was funny.
It was like the first drop.
It's the first drop. I wasn't prepared. Let's just put it that way. So yeah,
I would use a different term if this weren't a family show.
Yeah.
People probably play this in their cars. So
yeah.
Don't worry, folks. We're teachers. We know how to put on our filter when we need
teacher
to.
filter.
Yeah, my number 2. It's great ride. I like both versions of it. Both are awesome. I would probably say Mission Breakout by a little bit, but this version is also awesome, and I like the scary version too. So they're both great rides, both coasts. I love that, and then like that's kind of a cool thing that Disney will do is they'll take the same thing and they'll kind of do 2 different themes. Like they could do more of that. Like I would be happy with you look at what California has that we don't have, like, you know, some of the rides at Pixar Pier or Incredibles or something. Bring it over and just put a different overlay, you know, different theme to it.
I wonder if they could fit like a cool roller coaster literally in Echo Lake.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if they ever would because the sight lines and stuff, but I think it'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool.
I totally understand why it makes your list. It like I said, it is definitely an honorable mention. It's a high honorable mention for me, but it's one that if I can't make it, I think part of it is like my kids don't enjoy it, and since my kids don't enjoy it, like I don't really like.
Mine don't either.
I know.
Like when we rode the ride.
Oh yeah, it was my son.
It was your son
and
me and my wife.
Yeah, and my wife.
Oh yeah, your wife went too.
And then
and our kids, my 2 kids, and your daughter went off and took pictures with the photo pass.
Yeah. But we got to see Goofy in line, you know, because Goofy's always up there, and
that's cool.
And Max. So yeah, it's a good one. I would love to one day get to go into the lobby part. You know what I mean? Where sometimes they'll let somebody let you in and look at the lobby area, but I get why you've got it there. My number 2 though is one you've already mentioned.
Yeah, I think I figured it out now.
Maybe. Probably. My number 2 is a ride that I enjoy, even though I know we have the inferior version, and that is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out after you told me Tower of Terror was honorable mention. I kind of figured out what you did.
Yeah. So, look, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is great. I know ride-wise we do have the same ride, but their queue is just phenomenal. Like looking at the walkthroughs of the queue, I can't wait to go through that queue because our queue is just a bunch of decals slapped up on some halls
that people are ripping off.
Rip off, and it's like horrible. But the ride itself, I think it's very ingenious to like just when that door opens, not door, but whatever you want to call it, when the screen blows up, you walk through that. And if you get a really good cast member who sells that moment, like it's pretty good. I
would do that job. That'd be a fun job.
We had some pretty good cast members the last time we were there.
Because I get to play along. That's a job I want.
Yeah, exactly.
I just get to be obnoxious and, oh my gosh, look at the wall.
Yeah.
I would love that job.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, even when it's a long line, it moves relatively quickly. I've only ever had I think the longest line I ever waited for, the first year that it was open, it was posted at 2 hours, and I think we ended up waiting like maybe just over an hour. And it was hot that day, but we got through it pretty quickly.
That's pretty good for a non-Omni mover ride.
I like the trackless nature of it. I like the dance scene. I think it's hilarious because we all just start dancing with ourselves in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lot of fun. I will say, one time I rode it with my mother, and she was sitting in the same area as me. So if you're a bigger guy, don't do this. Like, I adjusted myself, so I like pushed up. I sat up a little bit straighter, and she like just checked the bar and pulled it down further. And so then I was stuck in it. And like going through that dance scene was the most painful thing in my life. And I was like, oh my God, what did you do? So just be careful when you get in there. Make sure the biggest person is seated fully before you adjust the bar, because otherwise you're going to have some trouble. I don't know. My kids like this ride. I love the fact that it has that particular animation style, because I love the new Mickey shorts.
Yeah, they're funny.
My kids love the new Mickey shorts. And I really think they did a good job reviving Mickey as a brand, those shorts, and that's why I like that. And honestly, let's think about it. He doesn't have a ride. This was the first one.
Yeah, and my other comment on that too, this made me think about it, is that Mickey has evolved so much through the years, and this is just another version of it. Because I know there were people that were purists that were saying, this is not Mickey, it doesn't look like Mickey. It's got the same voice, a little bit of a different kind of...
I like the humor better.
What do we call his attitude? He's spunky.
Yeah. And
Like-
the slapsticky humor kind of thing. I think it's great. And that final scene, like, I think they did really well, like, being able to... I don't know how they did it as far as engineering, but the sound engineers that were in there that make it so that when you enter that final room, you're hearing one thing, and you're still in that same room, you're hearing something completely different.
Yeah.
And the two don't interfere with each other.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
amazing.
get that. I've always thought about how do they do that.
It's amazing. They do some really good work with. I'm assuming it has stuff to do with parabolic speakers and whatnot, but putting you at the focus point. But look, it's really well done. I love that ride, and so that's why it's my number 2.
Yeah, I like that ride too.
Your number 1.
My number 1 is one that you put significantly lower because of the amount of time that it is closed. Now, I've ridden it 3 times, and all 3 times it's been the full version of the ride. I understand your point, and I don't disagree with you, because if I were in your shoes, I would also be frustrated. But Rise of the Resistance is my number 1, and I have had great experiences with this ride multiple times. 3. You haven't, and I totally get it.
I've been on it 5 times, and 3 of the 5 times it's been
right.
Like something's been wrong.
The one good time you were with us, luckily. Yeah. But what else about the ride? One thing that you didn't mention that I think is kind of fun too is it's kind of your run of the mill trackless ride, but they take it up a notch because you go shooting up in the air and you don't know you're about to, and you're looking at these, giant AT-AT walkers, and all of a sudden you just shoot right up in the air. And then there's also a part where you look like you're in an escape pod, and then you drop, and that's a lot of fun too, because you don't know that that's about to happen.
Right. So the going up is a function so that they can then drop you. And like, oh wow, we just had that going up moment, and then the drop at the end, that definitely caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have known better, right? Because if they took you to another floor, they've got to drop you.
What goes up
must
come down.
Yeah, so I agree. That's
great ride. We talked about it a lot earlier, and everything about it is great. I'm a big Star Wars fan. People who listen know that about me. But then again, there's 2 Star Wars rides that made my honorable mention. One made honorable mention. The other one, just the queue made the honorable mention.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we'll get to that in a minute too. So I'm gonna guess that your number 1 is
Slinky.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that ride.
It's a great ride.
It's a very approachable coaster, but at the same time has enough thrill to please even the adults and the thrill seekers. So you can be somebody who loves Rock and Roller Coaster, or who loves Everest, let's say, over at Animal Kingdom, or Big Thunder, or Space Mountain, and then you can come and do this and be like, wow, this is awesome. I really like this ride. I like the little like the up downs that they do at that one point. That's
the wobbles.
The view I agree is great. I do think the sight line issue for some people is a problem. For me, it's not because you can look into Galaxy's Edge. Obviously, it doesn't bother me. I've yet to ride this at night. I want to ride it at night.
I was just gonna say that we tried.
Yeah, well,
we waited till the end, and
our plan this year would likely lead to us riding these rides at night because our plan is to do. Because like we said, this is our least favorite park, so I want to ride this. I think we're gonna ride this. I think we're gonna go to Hollywood Studios as an afternoon instead of like rope drop. We'll sleep in, kind of do our thing, and then head on over. And so that would give us longer time there into the evening and possibly be able to ride some of these at night. I'd like to ride a lot of these rides in that particular part of the park at night because of all the lights and stuff. One of my favorite parts about this ride is the queue because it's nostalgic. Like I had Tinker Toys, I had the Speak and Spell.
Yep.
I had like all those things that we had as kids are waiting for you in there, and you've got like the Uno card boxes, and you've got it's stuff that I remember. Like the little golden books, I think is one of the things that's holding something up. And
I'm trying to think all the other things. There's constructs and Lincoln Logs. And,
the only thing, are there constructs?
I don't know why I had that in my mind. Those are the metal ones, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the constructs
I feel like
are
I
there.
saw something that was constructs at one point. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Might be a little later. I think constructs were later 80s.
Yeah. So but either way, they've got all those things there, and it's great. Now, are there better roller coasters on property? Sure. This is not my favorite roller coaster on property. This is my favorite ride at Hollywood Studios, and it's my favorite roller coaster. We're not doing a top 5 list of roller coasters, but this would be. I think this is probably on my top 5 for that. It's on my top 5 for that. And it's also the first ride where like we did it as a family. We did this. It's the first roller coaster. I'm pretty sure it's the first roller coaster we did as a family, unless that was Seven Dwarfs. But either way, I can remember going on this and just as a family, and I remember my daughter being terrified. But now she's like kind of gotten past that, and she's much better with it now. I don't know. It's nostalgic. I love Toy Story the movie. I don't know if I love it 5 movies deep now, but we'll see. Those are some things that we'll talk about, I'm sure, on a future episode or possibly on a Patreon. But yeah, this is my number 1, and I'm kind of shocked that we didn't line up more, but I'm not shocked about our honorable mention, Star Wars one.
Yeah.
Which only gets honorable mention because of the queue.
Yeah, only the queue gets honorable mention.
Yeah. So
if I want to play a video game, I'll play a video game at home.
Smuggler's Run. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. They miss.
It's just a video game.
Yeah, they dropped the ball on this
and
one.
It's not like, for example, Toy Story Mania is just a video game, but I'm not getting off it and going, that was dumb, it's just a video game. But this I am.
I think that what happened here is we got a ride that was like, well, we can't do another simulator because we have Star Tours. Instead of doing
just do it. Do another simulator.
Instead of doing a plussed up version of Star Tours, we got a video game that like. Here's the thing too. You're on the Millennium Falcon and you're doing a mission that is like nothing to do with any of the like. Come on, dude. You're placating to me as an original trilogy guy by putting the Millennium Falcon there, and then you get on there and you're stealing coaxium, or not stealing, but you're getting coaxium.
Cool.
Like, that's something that's from the new stuff. Like, listen, I know I'm old and sound bitter, but I am bitter that that's the ride we got.
So imagine for a minute Navi River Journey, right? Take Navi River Journey, put it where Grand Avenue is. Okay, we're going to end where we began on the show, okay?
Oh, full circle moment.
Put it where Grand Avenue is. Take the exact ride, clone it. Instead, take out all the glow, and what you're going to disperse among the ride are different animatronics of the different aliens from the different movies. Span all of them.
I got one better.
Sure.
It's a swamp.
Yeah, there you go.
And at the end, Yoda is waiting for you.
Yeah.
You go by, you've got Luke's X-Wing.
And it's in the air. It's suspended in the air.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. And then you just see different creatures and different alien races along the way, different droids.
We're not bulldozing baseline, though, right?
Oh.
Maybe
How about just move it.
No, I like where it's at. It gets a nice breeze there.
Well, because it could be
It's
on
good
the
people
edge.
watching.
It is possible because if you're bulldozing across the street, it could stay.
It could stay.
Yeah, it is possible.
You could ease your way into Star Wars that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do, instead of a big, huge Bavarian-style pretzel, they could do like a Grogu-shaped one. I'm kidding. I don't want a Grogu-shaped pretzel.
How about the Echo Base Line Tavern, and it's Star Wars themed?
We already have a Star Wars themed thing.
Well,
I'll tell you, look, side note, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Oga's Cantina, great time.
Yeah.
Had a fun time.
Yep.
Needs to be more. Needs to be a meal. And I get that that's not what they built it for, but it needs to be. Like, needs to be more. I don't know what, but it needs to be more. That's just my 2 cents. I know that's something
they
totally
could expand it. They got room now.
Yeah, so honorable mention, I agree with you. I don't really have any other honorable mentions that I haven't already mentioned.
Yeah, Toy Story Mania, which I love.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, Tower of Terror and Smuggler's Run. Those are my 2 honorable mentions.
Cool.
But it's been a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.